Morning, everybody. And I guess my understanding is now I have to tell you that I have permission from Scholastic to read this book for you. Reading today, chapter 32, 33, and 34. Good morning and happy Monday. I ran all the way home, my blood pounding in my ears so hard that I couldn't think. My brain was a mixed up mess. Beryl was real. Beryl was real. I didn't know how I knew that the voice inside was Beryl's, but I did. It sounded like the creature that had been hissing outside my window, the voice that had chased me in my dreams. Only now, in the daylight, I wasn't being chased. I ran until I reached my front door, and when I got there, I ran straight up to Grandma's room. "Grandma, I'm sorry," I said. "You were right. Beryl is real. I heard her. She has Vanessa." But was that right? It sounded like Vanessa was being held hostage. What about her Aunt Tilda? Had Beryl taken her too? "We have to help her," I continued, because Grandma Jeanie wasn't answering. She was breathing hard, and even though it was cool in her room, sweat dripped down her forehead. Mom came in then. She must have heard me run in, or else she heard me yelling. "Josie, calm down," she said, trying to sound soothing. She stepped in and put a hand on my shoulder. "No, you don't understand. Vanessa is hurt, and we need to help her. Beryl has her." Mom sighed. She didn't answer at first. When I looked at her, she looked almost as tired as Grandma Jeanie. "Josie, enough." "What?" Mom looked from Grandma to me. Then she knelt down so she was eye level and lowered her voice to a whisper. "It's bad enough that your grandmother believes these things," she said, "but I'd hoped that you were old enough to understand the difference between fantasy and reality. Beryl isn't real. There isn't any danger. But—" "No, Josie, I don't want to hear any more of this. Your grandmother is sick. You know that. And this is only going to make it worse. Come on." She stood and began walking away, leading me out with her. "But Vanessa is fine. I just called her house." That made me stop in my tracks. "You called her? How?" "She left her number with me last night, so we could arrange another sleepover with her aunt. She also wanted to apologize for leaving so rudely earlier." "You spoke with Vanessa?" I asked. I couldn't believe it. "No," Mom said. "I spoke with her aunt. Just after you ran off. I figured you might go there." My heart was hammering. This didn't make any sense. Vanessa and her aunt were trapped with the monster. Did that mean maybe Beryl was forcing her aunt to talk on the phone, like robbers did to their hostages, to make the police think everything was okay? Why was I the only one who knew that everything wasn't okay? "You spoke to her aunt?" "Yes, Josie, and she and Vanessa are both just fine." "They are?" "Yes, Josie." She sighed again. We were headed downstairs toward the kitchen. "You see," she said, "you're just letting your imagination get the better of you. Everything's going to be fine. In fact, your Aunt Tilda and I made plans for you. Next Friday you're going to stay over at their place. Tilda said she would be very excited to have you stay with her." Even though she said it cheerily, it still made my skin go cold. There was no way I would stay the night there. Not with Beryl hiding out. Didn't make me feel any better to know that Vanessa's aunt had talked to my mom. In fact, it made me feel worse. This meant that no one would believe me. I only knew one thing. Beryl was real, and she had my best friend and her aunt trapped. It was up to me to save them. Chapter 33. "Hello?" Vanessa's voice on the other end of the phone made me sigh with relief. It was after dinner, and I'd known I wouldn't be able to sleep if I didn't at least call Vanessa to see if she was okay. I thought about calling the cops, but I knew they wouldn't believe me. This was my only hope. "Vanessa," I asked, Are you okay?" "Yeah," she replied. "I'm sorry about running off earlier. I don't know what got into me. I think I was just worried about making your grandma more sick, you know?" She sounded like her normal self, and that made me suspicious. "Are you sure you're feeling okay?" I asked. I mean, how could I say this? If there was a monster in the house, if she was being held hostage, would Beryl be listening in? "Are you alone?" "Yeah, I'm okay. And no, I'm not alone. My aunt's here." "You sure you're okay?" My heart started hammering. Was she trying to speak in code? Did she mean someone else was there beside her aunt? "Josie?" she asked. I realized I hadn't answered. "I'm fine," I lied. You left your bag here." "I know," she said. "Could you bring it tomorrow?" "You'll be at school?" "Of course I will, silly. Why wouldn't I be?" "Because you were crying a few hours ago. Because it sounded like you were trapped." I wanted to ask her who she'd been talking to, but I also didn't want to risk that person listening in. If Beryl was in the house, I had to believe that she was watching. I don't know, I said. Ugh. I wish I could just ask her what I really wanted to. Okay, never mind. I guess I'll see you at school. Are you sure you're okay? Vanessa asked. Yeah, just weird day. Grandma's not feeling too well. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Vanessa said. She honestly did sound like she meant it. I hope she gets better soon. Me too, I replied. I was surprised by the urgency in my voice. I sounded like my life depended on it. Chapter 34. Josie, Anna asked. It was late, probably around midnight, and we had school tomorrow. I'd spent the rest of the day doing homework and trying to distract myself. I wasn't surprised to hear from her when she patted into my room. Yes, Anna, I can't sleep. I wasn't surprised because I couldn't sleep either. Even with my window closed, I could hear the noises outside. More than just night animals, more than owls hooting or stray dogs barking. I could hear Beryl, the rasp of her voice in the wind, the scratch of her words in the tree branches, the tap of her clawed fingers every time a branch struck my window. It had gotten so much worse over the weekend. Even though I was curled up in bed, and even though the stale air in here was hot, I was shivering. I didn't even tell Anna to come in. She ran toward my bed the moment I pulled back the covers. She's out there, Anna whispered. She snuggled closer to me. I know, I said, but she can't get in here. Only, in the middle of the night, something happened. I'd fallen asleep. I started to dream of a long, dark hallway, of Vanessa holding my hand, telling me to follow, of Beryl waiting at the end of the hall, calling out to me. No. Calling out to Anna. Anna, I whispered, rolling over. She was curled up in bed. And even though I knew she didn't have it with her when she came in, the doll was clutched tight in her hands. It seemed to be laughing at me. Or maybe it wasn't the doll. I could hear something outside. Not something. Someone. Beryl, laughing, and calling Anna's name. I reached for the doll. She shouldn't have it in here. It wasn't safe. If Mom came in, or Grandma. The moment my fingers touched the doll, Anna opened her eyes, and I bit back a scream. I'm so hot, she said, her voice distant. I need fresh air. Outside, the laughing grew louder, and I swore I heard Beryl calling to Anna, just like in the dream. Except now, she sounded victorious. Anna, don't! But she was already out of bed and walking toward the window, like she was sleepwalking. The doll still held tight to her chest. I stumbled out of bed. The sheets tangled around my feet and tripped me. When I managed to stand, Anna was already at the window, one hand on the windowsill. Anna, I called! She started lifting the window. The moment she did, a terrible howling sound spilled through the crack, like wind, like manic laughter. And through it all, I heard Beryl calling, Come to me! Come to me! I ran toward Anna and tried to slam the window shut, but she blocked my way. She had the doll held to her chest like a baby, its head peeking over her shoulder, and it was laughing at me. The doll, it shouldn't be here. The doll was doing this to her. I grabbed for it, tried to tug it from Anna's hands, but the moment I touched it, I flinched back with a yelp. The doll was burning hot. Outside, Beryl's cackles grew louder. So hot, Anna whispered. She began climbing through the window. Outside, through the wind and the laughter, I saw a shadow at the edge of the yard, watching, beckoning. Panic raced through my chest. I tried to hold Anna back, but she was strong. Too strong. Unnaturally strong. She got one leg up. I didn't ask fast. I'd lose her forever. I grabbed a blanket that had tangled on the floor and wrapped it around my hand. Then I grabbed the doll and yanked it from her grasp, throwing it at the wall behind us. Anna screamed. And then, a second later, she collapsed to the floor. Anna! Anna! The laughter outside turned to an angry howl. I tugged the window shut, barely blocking out the noise, and knelt beside my sister. Anna! I yelled. She blinked. What? She asked groggily. Anna! She looked around. What happened? Why am I on the floor? You don't remember? She shook her head. Then, mumbling to herself, she picked herself up and walked to the bed. When she collapsed atop it, she was asleep instantly. I sat there for a moment, watching her sleep, my heart pounding so loud I couldn't hear anything else, like the laughter outside. I stood and looked out the window, but there was no shadow, no Beryl waiting by the woods. When I turned back, however, the doll was still there, standing on its own by the wall. watching me. It was still smiling as if to say, next time. I grabbed it and shoved it into an empty shoebox. I'd throw it out tomorrow when it was safe to open the window. If it would ever be safe again. See you guys tomorrow.